All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Holy cow, do I have a big one for you. So in just a second, we have AOC versus the ADL. That's a phenomenal story. I have a message for Democratic politicians that I need to get off my chest. We'll talk about some of the specifics of the people that Trump pardoned. This is incredible. It's a shame that the media is not hyper-focusing on this, given the reality of who these people are. Then I'll give you some more information on the absolutely horrific, terrifying, pathetic executive orders that Trump signed, which are objectively going to make the country worse. We'll get to that bishop calling out Trump to his face in church. And then Palestinians were betrayed immediately, and legal immigrants were crushed by Trump on day one. Legal immigrants. So we'll talk about all that and more. Everybody do me a big favor. Please subscribe to the channel. That's below. It helps out massively. It costs you absolutely nothing. And of course, much love and appreciation and a giant thank you to everybody who supports this show on Patreon. As you know, we couldn't do it without you guys, man. You guys fund this show. You guys make it run. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser or a billionaire or a government like all these other fake independent media channels running around pretending to be real independent media. And I am forever thankful to you for that. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. I mean, everybody's been talking about this story. I'm sure you've heard about it 500 times since it happened. But of course, Elon Musk had a little moment, let's say, when he was delivering a speech on Inauguration Day. I'll go ahead and show it to you here. But obviously, the major takeaway from the majority of people is, oh, he was sig heiling. He was sig heiling. In fact, he did it twice. And then you have, I would say maybe 15% of the conversation are weirdos who are claiming, no, he's just autistic. And as we all know, that makes you Zig Heil. Okay, so let me play it for you and then we'll discuss more. Twice. Here we go again. Ready? That's not exactly subtle, y'all. That is not exactly subtle. Now, remember, Elon Musk got into a lot of trouble multiple times for having Nazi-like moments. There was somebody who posted some anti-Jewish conspiracy theory on Twitter, talking about how Jews hate white people and they want to make white people go extinct and they're playing tricks on white people. And Elon responded to that and said something to the effect of, you tell the actual truth. He, of course, praised the AfD in Germany, which is effectively a Nazi party. There's been a number of things. Oh, he believes in, the link between race and IQ and race and crime, and he's talked about it before. And so, I mean, he has far-right politics. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and he sort of let the mask slip a number of times. He's also played around with the 1488, numbers before, and you know what that means if you've been in this portion of the internet, right? So he does this little game where he plays hide the ball a little bit. He tries to leave himself plausible deniability, but he'll give you moments like this to spark controversy and get people talking about him. But also, he usually tries to do it where there is some counter-argument you can make. There is some plausible deniability. There is, hey, I'm not sure if that was the thing that everybody thinks it is, but it gets people talking about him. It sparks controversy, and the people who need to get the message get the message. So, for example, Nick Fuentes was out there like, oh, yeah, he was definitely Zig Heiling. Of course. That was like an I love Hitler move. So that's what Nick Fuentes comes out and says. Other people on the far right are claiming it and saying, yeah, that's what he was doing. It's not subtle. It's very clear. And then you have the centrists, people that are center left and people that are far left. All of them are like, yeah, that was a Nazi salute. The only people that are seemingly claiming that is not a Nazi salute and he's just autistic and this is just wild hand gestures because he has Asperger's or whatever. It's like, I don't want to say center-right people, but it's people who are on the right who are not card-carrying Nazis and white nationalists. Those are the people who are saying, oh no, he just got really excited, bro. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. So anyway, look, I think this speaks for itself. I think anybody with a functioning brain would tell you the truth here, which is, yes, it was a Nazi salute. And yes, he did it to try to sort of like spark controversy. And I think in his mind, he wanted to leave himself a little more plausible deniability and wiggle room. But he sort of messed up and made it too clear, right? He made it too clear, right? Okay, so in step the ADL. So the ADL comes in from the top rope. This is the Anti-Defamation League. They're supposed to be the ones who like protect Jews from discrimination, etc. I'm sure all you guys are familiar with this group. They say, this is a delicate moment. It's a new day, and yet so many are on edge. Our politics are inflamed, and social media only adds to the anxiety. It seems that Elon Musk made an awkward gesture in a moment of enthusiasm, not a Nazi salute. But again, we appreciate that people are on edge. In this moment, all sides should give one another a bit of grace, perhaps even the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, because that's what Trump and MAGA are known for, right? Giving people the benefit of the doubt if they disagree with them. And take a breath. This is a new beginning. Let's hope for healing and work toward unity in the months and years ahead. Now, if you know anything about the ADL, this should make you beyond furious. Because the ADL, it does not take much for them to launch a smear campaign against you and to call you an anti-Semite, and to say you hate all Jewish people, and to say you're a bigot. In fact, we've seen it 100 times vis-a-vis pro-Palestine protesters. If you say something like Free Palestine, or you say something from the river to the sea, or you wear a keffiyeh, however you pronounce it, excuse me, they go, oh, you're anti-Semitic. You hate all Jews. We feel threatened by the existence of this cloth around your neck. I'm not kidding. You go back and you check the record, you see the laundry list of people that they called anti-Semitic. If you wear a watermelon t-shirt, they accuse you of being an anti-Semite. But here we have somebody on the far right who we know is far right, and he does a Nazi salute and he skates on it. He gets away with it. Why? Because the ADL is a fraud organization. The ADL does not exist to protect Jews from discrimination. The ADL exists to protect Israel. And so what you see here is a strange alliance between Zionists and Israel, right? So Jewish Israelis, you see an alliance between them and the far right the world over. Because there are many on the far right who, they themselves are bigoted. They themselves believe in a racial hierarchy, but they're jealous of Israel for having an ethno-state, so they support Israel. There's different factions of the white nationalist and white supremacist movement. And one faction still hates Jews, right? Vis-a-vis, just like the way Adolf Hitler did, right? That's like the Nick Fuentes faction, etc. But then you have other factions that it's the opposite. They're jealous of the Jewish ethno-state. They want to copy the Jewish ethno-state with white people. And so they've aligned themselves with Zionists. And because they support Israel, these groups give them a pass for rank anti-Semitism. We've seen this time and time and time again. And this is just the clearest example of it. So now let me show you. AOC comes in from the top rope. You ready? Just to be clear, you are defending a Hail Hitler salute that was performed and repeated for emphasis and clarity. People can officially stop listening to you as any sort of reputable source on information now. You work for them. Thank you for making that crystal clear to all. In other words, let's stop playing around here. The ADL is married to the Republican Party in the United States, to the far-right movement the world over. And you are more than happy to find common cause with far-right anti-Semites as long as they're also Zionists and they like the Israeli ethno-state and they want to copy the Israeli ethno-state, right? If you're one of the far-right people who is anti-Israel and anti-Jew and genuinely bigoted in that sense, then they go, screw you, right? Like the Nick Fuentes types. They're more than happy to condemn the Nick Fuentes types. But if you're an Elon Musk type who is anti-Semitic, has put out there anti-Jewish conspiracy theories, but you met with Netanyahu, you met with Ben Shapiro, you went to Israel, you regurgitate their propaganda, and you support Israel because it's an ethno-state and you're jealous, in that scenario, you're fine. You're fine. And they'll use the fact that you're supportive of Israel to pretend, therefore, you can't be anti-Semitic, right? I mean, this is the mirror image of this is what they do to pro-Palestine folks, right? People who don't have a bigoted bone in their body, they don't have an anti-Semitic bone in their body, they just want to see Palestinians get their human rights, and so they're critical of the ethno-state of Israel for their mass atrocities, and they're called anti-Semitic, even though they're not anti-Semitic, right? So the ADL's politics are a mess. They're a joke. They're pathetic. If your mission is to protect Jews from anti-Semitism, then to snuggle up to brazen anti-Semites because they're Zionists, that is absolutely fucking pathetic. And AOC is calling it out here. Now, what I will say to AOC is the following, though. Remember who this group is the next time they try to pull some bullshit, AOC. Because there are times in the past where AOC has fallen for these identity politics head fakes. You'll have a group like the ADL call Ilhan Omar an anti-Semite or Rashida Tlaib an anti-Semite, and AOC is not there to play defense for her fellow Justice Democrats, right? She'll remain relatively silent. This is what happened the first time Ilhan Omar was accused of being an anti-Semite, when she said it's all about the Benjamins, talking about AIPAC and all of the pro-Israel money floating around Washington. She was 100% correct. She was talking about corruption. She'd say the same thing about Saudi Arabia and their lobby. But no, they tried to make it seem like it was you're spreading the trope about Jews and money. They accused her of anti-Semitism. Everybody with a conscience stood up and said, fuck you, she's not an anti-Semite. You're fucking lying and smearing her. AOC was nowhere to be found, right? And so now, AOC, do you see what this group is? Do you see the game they're playing? Do you see how they're a bunch of fucking liars? And as long as you're a hardcore Zionist and you love the Israeli ethno-state, you can get away with whatever the hell you want to get away with. You can believe whatever the hell you want to believe. Now do you see? So in the future, I'm just telling her, be ready. As full of shit as they are here, they're full of shit on virtually everything. And so the next time they try to do a cheap smear tactic against some pro-Palestine protesters, yes, be there to call them out. Like, it's time for the Democrats and the left flank of the Democrats in particular, stop playing around with these Washington games. Stop giving away your power to these groups that are your enemies. Right? Like, AIPAC is basically just a Republican group at this point in time. They buy a lot of Democrats, but they're basically just a right-wing group. So if you're a Democrat and you're taking AIPAC money, or you're a Democrat or you're defending AIPAC, understand what you're doing. That's like being a Democrat and defending the Koch brothers. You know? So just be clear. Keep your eye out for this ADL group. This is who they are. This is what they do. They are liars, they are smear merchants, and they want to snuff out pro-Palestine activism in the middle of a genocide and accuse those people of being anti-Semitic while they're actual anti-Semites, like Elon Musk, who they welcome in the camp because he's a Zionist and because he's jealous of the Israeli ethno-state. And so now people are trying to pretend. New York Post wrote an article like, AOC gets destroyed by people who disagree with her for taking on a fight with the ADL. And it's like, these cheap tricks don't work anymore, man. These cheap tricks don't work anymore. I love the people, the idiots in right-wing media who are trying to pretend like it's an absurd notion to look at Elon Musk do his Nazi salutes and call a spade and say he's doing a Nazi salute. There's a whole gaggle of right-wing commentator idiots who are like, you're being dishonest if you think that's a Nazi salute. Really? Because it looks to me like you're being dishonest. You're doing the classic, like, don't believe your eyes, right? But put aside the evidence you just witnessed right in front of your face. And so, look, these cheap tricks aren't working anymore. Everybody knows AOC is right. Everybody knows she's right. And so, yes, we need to see more of this fight. There's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing around, and groups like the ADL, they are one of them. They are one of them. And now you see where their true allegiance lies. Their true allegiance lies with MAGA and the far right. And they are more than happy to snuggle up to genuine anti-Semites, right? As long as those anti-Semites are pro-Israel. Just to put the emphasis on this about Elon Musk, here's his father, Errol Musk, telling a story about how Elon's maternal grandparents were Nazis. And so this is the background. This is where this guy comes from. This is how he was raised. So again, to question, is he far right? Is he not far right? Well, this helps put things into context and perspective.
Her parents came to South Africa from Canada because they sympathized with the Afrikaner government.
They went to South Africa because they loved apartheid. That's what he's saying.
used to support Hitler and all that sort of stuff. But they didn't
They used to support Hitler and all that sort of stuff.
know. Obviously, I don't think they knew what the Nazis were doing. But
Oh, of course not.
they in Canada, they were in the German party in Canada.
Oh, interesting.
And they sympathized with the Germans.
Yeah.
So when the Afrikaners government came into power here in 1948, then May's father, who was quite an interesting guy, he was a very good pilot, he said he wants to be with the Afrikaners because he agrees with apartheid, you see. You see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Do I even need to play more? Like, this is laying it all out. He comes from a long line of Nazis, right? Raised on mother's knee with this sort of stuff. And then again, he lets his mask slip all the time when he's responding to some anti-Jewish conspiracy theory on Twitter and he says, "You've told the actual truth," or when he supports the AFD. Right? This is who he is. This is who he is. And it comes out. And the thing I can't stand about these people, stop being such a fucking weasel, right? Just own it. Just own it. Nick Fuentes, for all his flaws, he owns what his politics are. He's like, yeah, I'm a Nazi. Yeah, I'm super far right. Yeah, I like Hitler. He debated Alex Jones on whether or not Hitler was good. Guess which position he took. So just own it. Just own it, Elon. But he tries to play this game, generate the controversy, get the clicks, get your name out there, and do something where then you do the plausible deniability. But everybody who was meant to get the message got the message. Everybody who was meant to get the message got the message, which is why you had Nick Fuentes out there saying, yeah, of course we know what that was. Everybody on the far right I've seen, yeah, of course we know what that was. Everybody in the center and left of this, on the spectrum, like, of course we know what that was. It's only the goofball people who are far right but not overt Nazis. Oh, he's got Asperger's, bro. It's autism, bro. Sure. Keep telling yourself that. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.